Hello and welcome back to the Super Sully Sunday stream. That's right, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern on Sundays. We have our weekly comics roundup show. We also talk about this, that, and the other thing too. It's the Super Sully Sunday stream. That's right. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We've got 17 Marvel comic books that I read this week out of 22 books. So I got 2 DC books, 1 Dark Horse book, and 2 Crowdfunders that came in this week. So we'll be talking about that. And this, that, and the other thing. So, and what's in the bag? What did I buy from my local comic book shop this week? We'll find out. Let's look at the show notes. Do we have any show notes? I've read, no lie, 94 different comics in the month of June. How you like them apples? I don't know if that makes me a reviewer, but it makes me a pretty big reader. Super shout out to my friend Jim Werner at Weird Science DC. Weird Science Comics. Hello. Welcome, Samuel Trejo. How are you doing today? Good to see you out there. What? I am very low energy today. My fire alarm went off last night. It disrupted my sleep. It went off about midnight. Apparently, one of the neighbors' hot water heater malfunctioned and almost flooded the basement. And the fire department showed up, and I had to let them through my apartment and through the back stairs, and I didn't get a good night's sleep after that. And everything's okay today. You know, the condo association's got some people downstairs taking care of that. Maybe they got to replace the unit. And but yeah, that was wow. That was kind of scary. The fire alarm going off like that. You know, you start thinking just what do you take? What do you have time to take? What do you have? I went down the back stairs and I saw it was flooding. I kind of touched the doorknob like I learned in those old cartoons, and the doorknob wasn't hot. That's a good sign. That means that chances are there's no raging fire behind that door. And the firemen came, checked it out, declared it not a fire, and let's get it taken care of. Awesome. So we read 17 Marvel comics this week, 2 DC books, 1 Dark Horse, and 2 Crowdfunders. Let's see. Indeed. I just got a nice link from Neon. It's Tom of Clownfish TV. We became kind of friends out here, which is nice. He was one of our panel mates over at Comics Aficionados a few weeks back too. Great guy. So now and occasionally, just we DM, a quick little note, hey, how you doing? Hey, this is cool, And interesting. It's cool. Let's see. Where are my comic reviews? Somewhere here. So what I do is I read what Jim sends me. He's a bona fide comic book reviewer, and he shares with me some review copies, and I read them, and I send him my capsule reviews, and apparently he reads them live on Wes's show. He's got a Thursday, one of the Patreon shows, Hot or Not. And then Wes asks Jim, so what did Sully read this week? And so I guess they read my reviews. And so I read 17 Marvel books this week. I actually got 3 of them. Two are on my pull list, and 1 is from the shelf. And we'll see those at the end of the reviews. So I read Doom Academy number 5 of 5. Doom Academy is the One World Under Doom event tie-in that's supposed to be like Strange Academy. Now, Strange Academy is about 6 teenage magic wielders and how Doctor Strange and Clea, have this it's kind of like Hogwarts, but for the Marvel universe, for the Marvel 616 Earth. So buttons. Hey. Hi, Fear Monarch. Good to see you. Shout out to Jim Beep Boop. That's right. Jim also does something called Sus Records, where he does very dirty adult-themed parody music. He does these with very clever artist names and about various precarious positions that humans find themselves in pleasure and pain. Done in certain styles of certain eras and certain genres of music. It's pretty fun. And if you like adult comedy, if you were a fan of Dr. Demento growing up, if you grew up underneath the smogberry trees, and Dr. Demento, God bless you, man, he retired, and he went from his FM radio show on the Westward One Radio Network, and he's been podcasting for years now. Parody music and humor music and old school stuff. Just he's just recently hung up his microphone. So God bless you, Dr. Demento, for everything. Seriously. It's 83 degrees here in Boston, so I got the windows shut and I got the air conditioner on. And it's not that bad. It's going to be a hot week though. So it's going to be like, I'm already thinking, oh no, my electric bill next month. Oh no. I went as long as I could with my, without having to turn on the air conditioner. Then we had a major heat wave last week where it was in the 90s and up to 100. And I was like, nah, I need to sleep. Got to get to work, So what did I say about Doom Academy? Doom Academy is an unsufferable, unlikable, lefty, progressive mess. And I don't really like getting... Well, I see my political talk for a Friday show called Apolitically Incorrect, where I flex my political acumen, but now in reverse, how I've let go of my love of the op-ed section in a newspaper and of politics in general. I used to be a big NPR junkie, National Public Radio, 90.9 WPUR, sponsored by you, our listeners, and a generous donation from the What Foundation and this, that, and the other thing. And, NPR does not get a lot of its funding through federal taxes and funding. It doesn't. I think it's between 5 and 10%. So NPR will do fine with having federal funding be withheld. And I'm all for that too, because NPR is an insufferable, unlikable, lefty progressive mess. And I took a break from it for several years, and I came back to it recently, and I'm like, this is horrible how one-sided they are. Hey, what's up, Lane Kramer? Good to see you. Hope everyone's doing good today. We are keeping cool and enjoying something fun to read. And some of these are not fun at all. But I did the math. I kept a tab and a tabulation of my running total of funny books that I read this week. I've read 94 funny books. 80 of them were Marvel books. I think I've read all 80 Marvel books available for June, or darn close to it. And not a lot of them are good. And we were talking about it yesterday on Wes's Thinking Critical's Comics Aficionados. The subject of the day was 14 Marvel books get canceled. because there are always this nebulous ongoing but these ongoings go 10 issues, and a trade paperback now goes 5 issues. So that's 2 trade paperbacks, and things, and I'm like, well, my thesis statement, I guess, was most of these titles deserve to be canceled because they're not that good. You're given this grand opportunity to make superhero stories in the Marvel universe. It's so easy to do these things right, to do the characters right, and have some like stunning art, as long as it's fun and not a waste of time. Because we're wasting time. It's a pastime. But what's the difference between wasting your time and passing your time? It's about your satisfaction with what you invested your time into, in your resources. Yeah. A lot of cancellations, also confusion on will Marvel just cancel to do new number ones, even if a series is rolling along relatively well and creatively has a good creative team, like the Ultimate Universe, which we hear is coming to an end at Ultimate Spider-Man number 24, or the Ultimates number 24, probably Ultimate X-Men 24, Ultimate Black Panther 24. These are the first 4 books of the Ultimate Universe, and they were structured to be like passing in real time. So for every month that's gone by for us, a month has gone by in the new Earth 6160, the new Ultimate Universe. Yeah, it's $30 to $34 for 2 trades worth of TP half the time. That's toilet paper. And I wouldn't suggest using these for toilet paper. You might get a paper cut, and because they're just like the pages are just too glossy. Okay, but Doom Academy number 5. I've had nothing really happens in this entire book. But I say it's an insufferable, unlikable, lefty progressive mess. I would also call out the same shenanigans if it was just some, right-leaning kind of stuff. But that does not happen. It just doesn't happen. Not in mass media. This is mainstream media. This is Marvel, owned by Disney. All the girl bosses on the cover standing up to Doom, you know what I mean, with the scowl and the arms akimbo, and there's Doom, and he's like being stood up by like the 5 teen girl bosses, and it's just looking at that, just gave me a headache, and I said, "Oh, fuck that smug shit." And there's gay stuff, the 2 girls kiss at the end, the 2 teenage girls kissing in the end, yaysies. And so gay stuff, box checked, right? There you go. I don't care. You know what I mean? There you go. I mean, but what got me was the complete misuse of Doom's voice. Everything was I and my, and never took the opportunity for Victor Von Doom to use himself in the third person. And he says, Doom is not pleased, and Doom this and that. And I that's one of my favorite parts of Victor Von Doom, is when he uses himself in the third person. And it's a complete waste of Pascal Ferry's wonderful line art, because nothing happens in this book. Absolutely, this is a nothing burger. This is one of those. This is a 5-issue mini. It's going to be a trade paperback with the trade dress of One World Under Doom. And it's going to be a trade paperback. And that's that. I mean, it's been here. That happened, right? If you were a long-time lapsed hardcore Deadpool reader and fan, I would not suggest Cody Ziegler's Deadpool number 15 / Legacy number 350. It's boring, terrible. It doesn't work. I mean, Wade can be a really fun character, and this book isn't. And a lot of it comes down to girl boss stuff, because it's about Deadpool and daughters. His daughter Ellie and the symbiote dog thing, and Taskmaster, and just like yeah. I mean, I started off a couple of years ago. I liked Cody Ziegler, what he was doing, but he's like, slowly over time, I'm like, it's not great. Hey, James, good to see you. Greetings. May the spice be with you. I thought that Fantastic Four by number 33 was meh. It's all this like Valeria has, she's now the smartest of the Fantastic family, and she's a teen girl boss, and then Sue's the boss too. That's what Reed defers to Sue. Kind of. Hey, that goes back to like the 300, where that famous scene. He looks over at his wife. She's just that slight head nod, giving her approval because she's the one that runs the house. She's the one with, she's in charge of the finances. But it's like, it's Val the brain, Sue the boss. It's all the same. This girl boss thing, and it's just whatever. I'm kind of just. I've read, like I said, I read 80 Marvel books this month, and yeah, the girl boss stuff. Yeah, who's buying it? I don't know. I watched Mark Miller's Miller Time this week. He had his second annual retailer roundup, and the retailers are like, they're having a good year. Like circulation, it doesn't appear that paid circulation is up, but they are doing better business, and a lot of it has to do with the rising tide brought with Absolute DC, that people are coming in and showing up to buy that. Not so much so on the Ultimate Marvel, but people are picking that up, and so as they say, the rising tide rises all the ships in the ocean. So and that the customer seems to be the old hated demographic of middle-aged men with the solvency in order to perpetuate their hobby, like me. But it was all about Ben Grimm getting fixed. See, like a big thing was this Doom is now the Sorcerer Supreme, and he used his magic to heal Ben Grimm and strip away his orange rock. And without his orange rock now, he's mopey and shiftless. He's not a hero anymore. He's got no place. So the whole thing is about getting Ben back to his mutated state. And so Valeria has a plan to take them all back to the beginning at the Big Bang for a couple of seconds. Let's expose Ben to some cosmic rays, and yay, he's fixed. And Herbie the robot sacrifices himself to save the family. And it seems very much kind of like a movie syzygy, like corporate syzygy, with the upcoming Fantastic Four First Steps movie coming out from the MCU. But then because then I trip myself up with taking this stuff too seriously and overthinking it. So I'm thinking like, well, you're sure you're exposing Ben to like cosmic rays again, but it's not the exact circumstance where like he was created into the green rock thing. And like, so what's to say that the cosmic rays wouldn't have, killed him with radiation, or maybe he would have had a different, new and improved and all new, all different, thing, with a different form. But no, it was the same old blue-eyed, ever-loving thing. And that's that. They fixed Ben by the end of it. It should be more fun. I should have had more, it was a miss with me. And that's it. Giant Size X-Men Age of Apocalypse. This is by Lansing and Kelly. And I had a good time with this book. It's about, Kamala Khan is unstuck in X-Men time, and she's dealing with Legion, who has been divorced from David Haller. So what is Legion without David Haller? It's just power. That's, and so they end up in the Age of Apocalypse universe, which was really fun for me because I was really into that 30 years ago. That was one of my last stops as a weekly comic book buyer, because after Age of Apocalypse came Onslaught, and I started with the Onslaught. I hit the wall, and I was in my early 20s. I was just moved out of my mom's house. I just moved away from home and in with a girlfriend, and so just different priorities. I kept my mind on comics. I always had friends who read them. Over on DC, you had Nightfall, and Azrael becoming Batman, John Paul Valley becoming Batman. You had the death of Superman, and you had the return of Superman. Then you had Electric Superman, Red and Blue Superman. So it's like I came back to comics in 2001 with New X-Men, Grant Morrison's New X-Men, and Judd Winnick's Green Lantern, which were fabulous, great comic books. It was such a good time to come back. But I kind of enjoyed Giant Size X-Men, Age of Apocalypse. The way that Apocalypse kills Rogue, just like crushes her head, like, you know what I mean? It's just so gruesome. It's and then it kind of, there's going to be a new Age of Apocalypse kind of universe come by the end of it. Yeah, so it's just the Giant Size X-Men Kamala Khan publishing stunt with chock full of variant covers. Really. What's up, Mo? Salam everyone out there. Say hello to Mo. How you doing? It's the Super Sully Sunday stream. You got that right. Hulk 26. Not a great issue. It's on my poll list. So I've got every issue of The Incredible Hulk written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, usually art by Nick Klein, who does all the covers. And Nick Klein's been does the majority of the book, and he's got some fill-in help with Danny Earls. And this arc is done by Kev Walker. And I'm trying to give the Kev Walker art some leeway. He's wicked hit or miss with me lately. And I'm usually a big fan of his stuff. But when he's bad, he's bad. And this issue was a miss. A rare miss by Philip Kennedy Johnson on Hulk. But that's okay, because it's like 28 issues, counting the one shot and counting the annual. This is the first stud in 28 issues, and those are good odds. Those really are. It's not terrible, but it's definitely they can't all be winners. I mean, the Red Sox are not going to win every game in one season. You know what I mean? It doesn't have, I mean, I said to him, remember when I used to say nice things about Cody Ziegler and Miles Morales Spider-Man? Like books like this. Like, there's an argument out there in YouTube, on the YouTube channel, specifically your boy Zach at Comics Explained, Comics Matters with your boy Zach and Richard C. Meyer, who I usually, really like. And just because he's got a bad opinion of Wes doesn't mean I'm going to white knight for Wes, because, of course, Wes is my friend. I'm on Wes's team, and I do feel loyalty to Wes. And I do think Richard's being a bit unfair, especially calling Wes a tourist, because Wes has been into comics for 15 years or so. And so Richard's like, oh, he's a fucking tourist, man. He hasn't been in it as long as I have. So Richard says that he's been on since Atlantis Attacks. Atlantis Attacks. 1988. That was it was 1989. So that's when he said he came aboard, was in 1989 with Atlantis Attack. So it's like, well, compared to me, you're a tourist. So Richard, you're a tourist. So everything you say is sus. These are your criterion, brother. Yeah, I like you, I respect you. But even if I didn't like or dislike, I can respect you. But you're using this to define Wes as a tourist. I'm defining you as a tourist because I started in the 35-cent days in the spinner rack. Those 35-cent days were like 1977, 1978. That was pocket change on the spinner rack. And I'm like 5 years old, 6 years old. And I'm the same age as Richard. And so it's like, I'm not saying shit to start shit with them. I actually stopped leaving comments because I feel it's kind of like bait in a way. And it's like, I don't need a white knight for Wes. And Wes is literally giving him the best response in how he feels with every post and every video. Silence. It's just, he's just nonplussed. Doesn't care. I mean, just like, yeah. But still, it's like it's a bit unfair. I mean, I know you gotta, but, you know, you invented fucking outrage content, punching down on women, queer women, brown women of color. It's like, it's disabled people. I know they're not very likable, but in this, you know, I mean, dude, you live in a glass house and you're throwing stones. Oh well, I guess enjoy the breeze then. Enjoy the sound of broken glass. Exactly. What's between Zach and Wes is between them. Sure. I mean, I think it's just, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, like, well, I have a side. I'm on Zach. I mean, if Wes was wrong, I would say something, I guess. I think it's just, you know, we talk about shit in the green room, so it's like, yeah, it's not, yeah. We hope Richard's doing okay. That's all. That's it. But you remember when I used to say nice things about Cody Ziegler's Miles Morales Spider-Man? Because like a lot of what Richard's saying is like, hey, things are good again in comics. There's no need to be speaking like this about comics. These are 2018 talking points. Look at you, you tourist. Keep going with your outdated, online hate. Like, comics are good again. You're showing this is proof that you're a tourist, that you're not reading. But I'm saying like, no, dude, I read 80 Marvel comics this past month. Most of them were not good, and just very few of them are worthy of like this opportunity to give us fun superhero stories and superhero art. This a lot of it's pretty bad. Uncanny X-Men, New Champions, Doom Academy, Gwen, Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, Phoenix, Psylocke, Storm. I mean, just exceptional X-Men. There's so many more. I mean, there are some really good comics. There are. But overall, it's like you're given this opportunity to produce and to do something with this really awesome idea called the Marvel Universe and these really fun characters, like the hit or missness of Amazing Spider-Man. The cancellation of Spider-Boy. We're talking about canceled books. That went 20 issues. That gets 4 trade paperbacks or 1 nice omnibus. But books like this, books like Miles Morales Spider-Man, are proof that all comics are not good again. I mean, seriously, are you reading Miles Morales Spider-Man 2 years ago, it was it was interesting. It was good. I was saying nice stuff about it. Like, its art is pretty hip and digital, and, it's the new house style. Yet, tone-wise, it was very much like a Bronze Age superhero Marvel book, and I was overall satisfied with reading it. But now it's just like, it's kind of bad, and just because there are a few really good books doesn't excuse the lack of editorial direction and the lack of better art and the lack of better stories. There's still, I mean, Vision and Scarlet Witch. Oh my gosh, these books are terrible. Ultimate X-Men. Miss Andrews trash. It's beautiful, Miss Andrews trash, but there's no heroic boys or men in it whatsoever. I'll say some. Okay, so books like this, books like Miles Morales Spider-Man, are not proof that comics are good again, because these are pretty dumb and mediocre. And the art has some flair, and it's full of fight scenes. It really is, but it's kind of bad story-wise. It's so flat, and the Spider God is like, he's coming off as this literal cliche, a trope of a character. And it's just, I'm just like, I think it's kind of flat. I think it's kind of bad. I'm not, but that's an opinion too, man. Someone out there might love the hell out of Cody Ziegler's Miles Morales Spider-Man, and they have every right and every justification to like that story and to like these characters and to like what's going on. This is just an opinion. I'll say some nice things about Predator versus Spider-Man #3, written by Ben Percy. I think this is a 5-issue mini. Let me look that up. Spider-Man, Predator versus Spider-Man, Predator versus Spider-Man, Predator versus Spider-Man. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. Where is it? Predator, Spider-Man. Hello. Is that from last week? Oh, there it is. $4.99. It's on the 20th Century Fox imprint, and I think this is going 4 issues. Predators. They're 32 pages each, so there are 10 more pages than the usual 20-page book. My personal problem with, I'll say something that's nice about Predator versus Spider-Man #3. Something I didn't really care too much about. It's the art is killer. It makes the red band explicit content. Hey! Oh, they should bring back Silk. Can be only one Peter Parker. Oh, really? About something? Well, Wes is always out doing videos. That's his thing, man. But yeah, I still like Richard. I'll still watch his stuff. I just think he's just, I'm cui bono. Who benefits from this? I mean, geez. That's it. The art is killer. It makes the red band explicit gore content look cheap as it really is. A few good Peter wisecrack, but it's so written for the trade. It's boring. Like, it's kind of a waste of the periodical format. Like, that is my criticism about this story. It's like, I don't think the serialized format does this any justice. I hated the pacing. This is going to really read a lot better as a collection in one book. So to break it up serialized, it doesn't feel like an act format. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like, I don't know. Am I being picky? Well, yes, I am. The last page of Spider-Man Wolverine #2 is literally so good. I shouted out, "Oh, fucking great!" I did. And just because this is an awesome comic book doesn't mean comics are good again. Yet it's great this is actually getting made. If the majority of all Marvel comics were more like this than mostly anything else that they publish, this stuff would sell itself, and then I would feel confident to say comics are good again. Comics have gotten a lot better. They really have. Skybound Image is amazing. Millerverse 2.0 on Dark Horse is pretty good and pretty entertaining. I have a few misses, but I'm more tuned into that than anything else too. I still have about 14, books on my pull list, maybe 15 a month. Those are physical copies that I buy. I spend maybe about $20 a week or so. Maybe I'm averaging about $80 to $100 a month. Spending at my local comic book shop. And I read a ton of these every week. So, Spider-Man Wolverine, written by Mark Guggenheim with art by Kari Andrews, is amazing. It's a really good book. And you know what? The last issue of Spider-Boy came out this week. Spider-Boy #20 wraps up the tale of Bailey Briggs, the Spider-Boy who was erased from history, that nobody remembered. He restored himself in the hearts and minds of everyone, reclaiming his role as the forgotten sidekick of Spider-Man. He's a 10-year-old kid, and he was also never succumbed to his temptations to use his powers without responsibility. So he fulfills the role of being a kid sidekick. He was a worthy sidekick to Spider-Man. And Stan Slott wrote this, and you know what? If he hadn't have blocked me on Twitter, I would have bought this. I would have totally supported this book financially. I would have bought all 20 of these, probably some nifty variant covers, the Paco Medina art, and it was pretty fun. You know what I mean? It was lighthearted. It didn't take itself too seriously. It had punny names. It had, it was a little goofy in places, and it was allowed to be. Really was. And it was a great, fun book. And congratulations, Stan Slott. But guess what? You didn't get my money. Why? Because you made the conscious choice to block a reader and a buyer with no direct exchange. That's on you, and I'm not buying your stuff. I'm not your sucker. I'm not your bitch. I'm not your mock. You know what I mean? Seriously. How is that? We could have helped, all of us. We could have helped sell more copies. I would have bought 20 of those books at what, $5 a piece or average? It's $100. I would have spent $100 over the past year and a half at my local comic book shop buying your books, Mr. Dan Slott, buying your books. I will never buy your books. I never. Sorry. If you unblock me, that would be a start in the right direction. How does that help sell comic books? But yeah, I guess it was a really good book, Spider-Boy. It's a solid rec from me. Hey, AL, how are you? Good to see you. Pikachu says hello. Dan Sloth. Very good. Let's see, what else? Star Wars The Legacy of Vader #5 out of 6. It's written by Charles Soule. It's the story of Kylo Ren between episodes 8 and 9. I love the Stefano Raffaele art in this. And it's about Kylo Ren coming to Naboo. And so it's an interesting story. If taken on its own as a single floppy, you see it works story-wise. Because you have the internal and you have the external problems on Kylo Ren. So Kylo Ren is, doing a dual role and playing both sides on purpose just to see what happens. It's like, these people are his puppets. Being his grandmother's he's the king of Naboo because he is also the leader, the supreme leader of the First Order. And so the First Order comes to Naboo. And so there's an outward thing with Hux about military dominance and using all the powers of the First Order. And then there's Kylo Ren as the nameless insurgent, inspiring a rebellion on the streets of Naboo with the freedom fighters, because Naboo has a long, rich history of fighting for its freedom, going back to his grandmother Amidala, Padme, in Episode 1. So this is a Star Wars story that takes place on the planet Naboo, and so it progresses, and it's Kylo Ren. He's bored and he's trying to figure out evil or whatnot. Who knows? But it's more of like, there was some good stuff to this. Like the Naboo had salvaged together, it had a salvage fleet of starfighters, like X-wings with solar panels of TIE interceptors for wings. You know what I mean? To replace their parts. And one Naboo Nubian. You know what I mean? The N1 starfighter. That's also in The Mandalorian. And then there was this, mini walker, like a chicken walker that had this really sinister looking claw. So I really liked Stefano Raffaele's art. I usually do, but the story is a little dull, because even though, like I said, it's interesting in bits and in ways, all roads lead to the Rise of Skywalker. No amount of spin-off comics are going to make Kylo Ren an interesting character. You just can't do it. I mean, they've tried, Ben Solo, student of Luke Skywalker, Ben Solo, destroyer of the Jedi Temple, on his way to becoming Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren. That was a mini. It came out years ago. That's it. Superior Avengers #3 was actually kind of fun. It was lots of decent. It was pretty decent. Lots of action. The art was good, and there's a couple of the flashback stuff was a different artist, and it was as a standalone floppy. It was fine. Superior Avengers #3 gets some kind of vote of thumbs up from me. Yay! And Dan's run on Fantastic Four had a lot of interesting things, and Sloth Boy Can't Land the Plane, aka Story. Heard, yeah. I really enjoyed him the most. The Spider Boy has been the best Dan Slott, I feel, since Amazing Spider-Man Big Time 20 years ago with Humberto Ramos. I loved Spider-Man. That was a good Spider-Man era. I liked that stuff. Yes, please. Tony Fleek's The Thing, I didn't think was that good. The flashback art, it's Yancey Street, and there's Ben Grimm, young Ben Grimm, in a fist fight with his bully or something, and it just has that lousy retro, just these digital panels, these digital filters that are supposed to emulate Ben-Day dots and Zipatone, and it just that retro look from in the days of yore. But I asked Jim, and he thinks that Tony Fleek's Thing book is out of continuity, because Bullseye, the Daredevil antagonist, is in this book hunting. There's a big street fight between. At least it's full of action and clever on how, like, Bullseye is going to use his power set against Ben Grimm, who's basically invulnerable. And but I'm like, Bullseye's dead. Solomon Ahmed killed him in the 19-issue introductory rights. See, that's an example too. Hey, the last 3 issues of Daredevil have been really good. Yeah, but did you read the 19 that came before it by the same author? Daredevil, wrapping up at issue 25. The Solomon Ahmed run is over. That took 2 years. That's a run. But we'll get a new number 1 with a legacy number, and so it goes. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, Tom Brevoort is editor of this thing, everyone's favorite. Yay, Tom Brevoort. And but yeah, Bullseye is dead over in the continuity. Ultimate Spider-Man number 18 is fine. But since the word came down that it's finishing up, I kind of lost all my gusto for it. And I'm thinking, like, am I really on the hook for 6 more issues? That's $30 more. I'm just it's hard to take it seriously now. All the stakes it might have had, what are they going to matter? The maker is coming back in 6 issues. The whole point has been leading to this anyway. This whole month by month, the maker will be back in 2 years' time. I kind of feel like the maker's been out all this time, and he's just been sitting back watching from the wings. Everyone prepare for the maker's return, and he's just chuckling to himself in the background, watching this whole thing, and that he just resets the whole Ultimate Universe once again, because this one's just not turning out the way he wanted. Uncanny X-Men number 16 was terrible. It was beautiful art, but it was a jumbled mess of story, and it lost me from the beginning. It's at Nolans, and so the Nolans Friendship Fest, and you're safe in the mayor or you're safe here, and that kind of this is a safe space, kind of that just thing, that cultural thing. But it's home of the Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest and people who shoot firearms in the air. You know what I mean? A safe space. Usually I had to look it up on Grok, because it's like that is a thing there. Where if you shoot a bullet up in point blank into the sky, it's coming down pretty much in that vicinity of respecting its arc at the same speed. And so people can get hit with stray bullets that are shot in the air by just redneck celebrants. And so I looked it up on Grok. Usually one person a year dies from a stray bullet, from that kind of stuff. It's called Dark Artery Part 4 in my best Boston accent. But yeah, I mean, I liked it too, because we had more Spider-Man action in this since the bank robbery against Mr. Negative, about maybe 6 or 7 issues ago. And but yeah, I mean, well, yeah, it's just okay, well, now there's no more building action. Now it's all inertia, because of the announcement, where this is going. X-Men Demons in Death was okay. It's a one-shot. There was 2 stories in here. There was Havoc and the Goblin Queen. Now, if you remember Dark X-Men from the Fall of the House of X, the Fall of the Powers of 10 era of the Krakoa era, the Goblin Queen is now the Queen of Limbo. And she has a little piece of hell on Earth in Marvel Manhattan, an embassy to Limbo, and she lives there with her lover, Alex Summers, aka Havoc of the X-Men, X Factor, and brother of Scott Cyclops Summers, of whom was Madeline Pryor's ex-husband, and Madeline Pryor herself being a genetic clone of Jean Grey, rapidly aged by Mr. Sinister. So it kind of tells us the story of what happened between Maddie and Alex. And it bridges Dark X-Men, which I kind of enjoyed, to the latest X Factor, which had, I literally was wondering, where's Maddie in this? Why is it Alex and Lorna, aka Lorna Dane, aka Polaris, Alex Summers' usual wife and romantic partner? What, so where's Maddie? What happened with the Maddie? So I got my answer. The second tale was about Omega Red. He is the Soviet era adamantium nemesis of Wolverine, I think created by Jim Lee for his Adjectiveless Volume 2 in the early 90s. Vision and Scarlet Witch wasn't very good at all. That's the Steve Orlando, one of the many Steve Orlando Scarlet Witch books that just come out like mini after mini after mini. And they're all the same story, but they all, it's like one trade paperback, then a new number one, and then, but rinse, wash, repeat. Now, Chris Claremont is writing a retcon story that's supposed to fit between Kitty Pryde and Wolverine number 6 and Uncanny X-Men number 192. And this is called Wolverine Kitty Pryde. And it's so it comes right after the events of Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, how the action went to Japan, how Kitty was used as a host body by a ninja spirit. And, it's an impressive thing. She remembers all of her ninja training, all of her, so it's like, it was like Neon in the Matrix. Whoa, I know Kung Fu. Well, that's what happened to Kitty Pryde. She's literally a ninja. She has been since 1984. Yeah. Yeah, I like Havoc. I always have, yeah. And they didn't do much with him. And I've always liked Polaris too, the true child of Eric Leshner, aka Magneto. And this whole Max Eisenhardt thing, it's a bit much. I mean, these, you know what I mean? She's like, yeah, will the real Magneto please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up. Will the real Magneto please stand up? Stand up, please, Magneto. Magneto entertaining a man. They were looking for you, babe. Ooh, he was involved with the robbery that was due to happen at 2:45 in the main street. You know what I mean? It's an actual song written by Paul McCartney from Wings, with Denny Lane and Linda McCartney, Paul McCartney. It's called Magneto and Titanium Man. And Paula just picked up an issue of a comic book, of a Marvel comic book, and it's 23 Skidoo song. Boom, boom. Just like that. What's in the bag? What did I buy this week from my local comic book shop? But before we look in the bag, let's see, what did I get from my crowdfunders? I got 2 crowdfunders that fulfilled. I would like to look this up real quick. Real quick, I would. Contributions. Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest. Here we go. Dark Harvest. All righty. Thank you. Sorry about that. I backed this just a few weeks back. I'm a big fan of hers and of her dad's too. It's Mark Millar's eldest daughter, Emily Brooks Miller. And it's her newest book, Bird Dad. Bird Dad is colorful. She's got a curated color palette. She's got her master's in art history, and she's an artist, and she's got a sense of humor like her old man. And I got As Told by Rats, and Be More Gus, which I gave to my niece. She's got her own art. She's got a very interesting art style. It's very digital. Everything's drawn on a tablet. But I like this. Like she's got a very, very bright and curated color palette, and it's absurd, and it's a little abstract. And I got a card. And it came with playing card. Emily Brooks Millar is her website, and you can find her art there. Speaking of the Matrix, she even had a hollow foil card. This is the Matrix, Bird Dad in the Matrix kind of thing. And Bird Dad as a character is not necessarily very heroic. And look, Post-its with Be More Gus. Ain't that cute? So I think this is as crowdfunding a book and getting like little add-ons. I mean, that was cute as hell. There's all those like I got the base, ground floor of the book, and it came with all those cute little add-ons too. So way to go! And I've been reading her stuff too, because usually the last page in any recent Millerverse floppy has Emily Brooks Miller's art. So I've been like, that's where I was turned on to it. And then, of course, he's platforming his daughter's efforts, and so she's done a couple of things on Kickstarter, and I've backed them both. I'm happy too. Also, another and more notorious, probably the most notorious name in independent crowdfunding comics has to be Ethan Van Sciver. And I got Cyberfrog Dark Harvest. It's officially issue 2.9. So this happens after Wrecked Planet, but before the upcoming Red Extermination. And it's really good. I mean, I enjoy Cyberfrog as a character, as a story, characters, as art goes. I mean, it's tip top Ethan Van Sciver line art in inking. What wonderful colors! Okay. By Kyle Ritter. And really decent and really nice lettering by Eric Weathers. But these details. I mean, this is just it's a floppy, so it's got two staple binding. Yeah, odd numbering because it's meant to be directly leading into Cyberfrog 3 Red Extermination. So it gives him some leeway to be like, hey, he's got room for like, I have another one called 2.5, which is Salamandroid Death Sting. And so he's got like this room with the point scale to like add in different tales along the way. I love Ethan's art. He's just, why does his shit take so long? Well, because he makes shit like this, man. So yeah, this showed up, but let's just let's talk frankly here. It had an estimated delivery of September 2023. I bought this for $38. I think it was $25 and another $10 to get an autograph. So yeah, it's autographed by the author and artist. This is a Dale Keown cover too. So I got it for the Dale Keown cover. And this, so I backed this on Indiegogo on February 24th, 2023. And we were given, as posted on the campaign page, with an estimated delivery of September 2023. And I received this June 27th, 2025. Giving that so that was literally 21 months late. Now we're always going on and on and on in these crowdfunding conversations about late books, and how it's a cudgel to be used to shame creators who are not keeping up with the promise of these of what they're not keeping up with the promise, literally, of like their quoted delivery date. But it also gives you perspective too about what are we doing here with crowdfunding. You're not directly buying a book. You are a patron of the arts. You are helping the artist self-publish. As a perk, there should be a perk. Your perk is usually the physical copy, the fruit of the labor, because they're going to use these funds to produce. You have X amount of backers, but you're going to print Y amount of books to make Z equals your profits after everything else. You're going to be selling these books for a year or two to come. You know what I mean? And if you have to go to a second printing, wow, wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't that be making money? Because you already fabricated this. It's done. So that's what we're doing, is we are patrons to the art. We are funding these pieces of art. And for me personally, I like Eve Vance Iver's art. When I came back to New X-Men in 2001, he was coming on in 2002 with Germ-Free Generation, the second arc after the initial 4 issues. It was the 2001 annual, and there was 3 issues of E as If for Extinction with Frank Whiteley, which blew my effing mind. I came on just in time for Germ-Free Generation. I got the first trade paperback. I think that it also included the Morrison Manifesto, where he said, "Screw the fanboy." But this is back in 2001, and to this day, New X-Men 114 through New X-Men 154, the Grant Morrison run, remains a point of contention with X-Men fans. I mean, I, for one, loved it. I came back to, as I was saying earlier, I got off the boat at Onslaught, and that was 1996. So 5 years later, after a 5-year break, I come back to comics every Wednesday, and or at least once a month at the beginning. I got one from each house, one DC book, one Marvel book. My DC book was Green Lantern, written by Judd Winnick, art by Daryl Banks. Kyle Rayner, at his peak, it was like he was fighting Nero. We had control of the Yellow Ring, Sinestro's power. This was Kyle Rayner's Sinestro. It was Nero. Someone just like him, an artist, but who was a little bit, who had bad mental health. And it was like, and had this untapped power. It was great. We are like the Medici. We really are. That is the spirit of crowdfunding. We are backing this opportunity for the artist to fabricate this, our perk, our reward. It took me a couple of times to get that, because I thought we were directly buying a book. That was and I had the wrong impression. Someone had to, sit me down and explain this to me like I was 5 years old. No, this is a perk. This is like, you know what I mean? There's a probability that this could fall through. Like look at Rob Hunter's Death Reader, or look at Kami Mark's Kid Krishna. I almost backed that. I'm a huge fan of Krishna. I love Krishna stories. I'm like Kid Krishna. It's like the superhero of Govinda, because when Krishna was a kid, he was a sheep herder, and his nickname was Govinda, and he played his flute, Murali, and the shepherd's daughters were always jealous of the flute, Murali, because he was like, oh wow, handsome Krishna puts his lips on you all the time. What's it going to take to get those lips on me? And those were the gopis, the sheep, the shepherd's daughters, and he was a simple shepherd, hiding out as a prince, the hidden prince. There's a whole drama behind Krishna, and he's literally royalty, and he was in hiding because there was like a civil war, and he had to be like ushered out. Yeah, whole thing. Love myth. I love Indian mythology and the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna, and so Kid Krishna. I almost back. So Kami Mark, it's just been he has a reverse funding page right now. He's like, no, anyone that come and click the button, if you back this, instant refund, complete transparency. I am not going to be able to finish this book. I will not be able to fulfill the obligation. I'm refunding everyone if you want it. Good on him. And it's like, there's no sob story, no leading people on with half-baked promises. It's just more of like, hey, like this didn't work, and that is part of the probability amplitude of crowdfunding books. That this may not work, and so yeah, Ethan gets a lot of flack because of his tardiness. I mean, Rainbow the Brute, probably let's check the same time next year. But these are quality products. These are quality. This is some of the best independent comic books you can get. I mean, this is what comic books used to be like. This, well drawn, lots of great action. I mean, if it takes a little longer, I mean, I'm okay with that because I also do respect the artistic process and that artist's vision. You don't have an editor. You get a lot of carried away, and then life happens too. And imagine like the rising costs of production, the rising costs of binding, of printing, of paper itself, of distribution, of postage, of shipping and handling, everything involved. It's just like, and just things keep on. And imagine if you backed this at a certain price point 4 years ago with tariffs and the price of goods just going up and up. I mean, geez, it's just... What else did we get this week? But yeah, those are my two crowdfunders. And I will continue to crowdfund, I guess. And I mean, I understand that, he's not everyone's favorite. You know what I mean? I still like him, and that's that, and I like his art. Because when I came back, is like I said, Grant Morrison and Ethan Van Sciver on New X-Men in 2002, Germ-Free Generation. So John Sublime, the U-Men, this body horror is so good. I mean, and that's what turned me on to Ethan Van Sciver. It's like his regular work, and just, yeah. So yeah, I'll remain a fan of his books, What did we get this week at my local comic book shop? I got Green Lantern 24. That's 2 years now for Jeremy Adams on Green Lantern. We got Superman ad in the back for the movie. We look, product placement. These are the most normal ads I've seen in a funny book in a while, and they are like these are house ads. Rick and Morty, new season, Adult Swim. Isn't there something up with Rick and Morty? Like it lacks authenticity because one of its creators were canceled, and they're no longer in association with the production of the cartoon. And this has the return of a character that made their debut in the animated series, and that's where Jeremy Adams helped. Jeremy Adams did a lot of work in DC animated stuff, and he did an episode of Green Lantern, the animated series. And so he's brought back 2 characters from that very awesome show, in my humble opinion. What else? We got Huck by Mark Miller, art by Raphael Albuquerque. I'm not entirely thrilled with it. I mean, it's yeah, I show up for Mark Miller because I love Mark Miller, and he's got his Kickstarter that's wrapping up next week, and he's jamming with Klaus Janson inking John Romita Jr. It's called Psychic Sam. It's kind of like the Dead Zone by Stephen King. Like, what if you could see something happen before it happens? And what does this guy do? So it's interesting. So yeah, it's not my favorite Mark Miller, but as I was saying, last page in a Mark Miller book is the odd black humor of his eldest daughter. It kind of reminds me tonally of this and As Told by Rats are so dark, such black humor, that it reminds me of Mark Miller's The Unfunnies that he did with Top Cow right after Wanted, right after the Millerverse began. And but yeah, I'm on the hook for it. It's on my pull list. Superman 27, written by Joshua Williamson, and art by Eddie Barrows. Really, I love the art. I saw a couple of variant covers, cardstock variant covers, and they were just a piece. It was just a cardstock cover with variant art stapled atop of an A cover, and I just think that's so cheap. You know what I mean? That's not the spirit of a variant cover, is it? Look at this Eddie Barrows art. Oh gosh, it's been infected with a bit of red kryptonite, and he's in for the fight. All right, now we got 3 Marvel books. As we said before, look at this Nick Klein art. We've got Winter Soldier showing up, and Charlie and Hulk are still on the run. And like I said before, it's just like the Kev Walker art. Sometimes he lands, sometimes he doesn't. And this one I feel was a miss. And that's it. I'm still on my pull list, still a great book. Ultimate Spider-Man number 18. I got a variant cover with Mr. Negative. I think Mr. Negative is one of the best designed modern Spider-Man villains. I'm trying to see, okay, the variant covers. This is Ivan Coelho. Where's this Gerardo Sandoval? I can't see. But no, it's Mr. Negative. I love his design. And we get more Spider-Man action in this issue than we have in probably since Spidey foiled the bank robbery with Mr. Negative, I think 6 or 7 issues ago. This is not a lot of action. But when he goes there, he goes there. Yeah. Thunderbolts. Now in theaters. Bleeding Meat by Pick of the Week. Spider-Man and Wolverine by Mark Guggenheim. Kari Andrews. Oh my gosh. It's nothing but one big fight between Spider-Man and Wolverine, page after page. Look at this splash page. Look at this Kari Andrews art. This is so good. The last page of this had me like, yeah! Like it got a visceral reaction out of me. I mean, look at this. They're really pissed at each other. They're really no holds barred. This is a no holds barred fight between Spider-Man and Wolverine. It is so good. This got the gusto. And I got a variant cover for this as well. This is by Eric Larson. Also, it's in the style of a Bronze Age Marvel book too. I love that. That for me goes a long way. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you, Mike Ortega. What do I think of Jorge Jimenez's design for the new bat suit? Overall, I like it a lot. I think it could use some yellow trim around the bat logo, kind of like, Greg Capullo had that too. But I think it's just because he's gone back to gray and blue and a yellow utility belt. So I think that the yellow accent around the bat chest, the chest bat, would play well with the utility belt iconically. I'm a big fan of the yellow oval. And so this is an Eric Larson art. I thought it was Frank Miller at first because it's got like that, but also I'm new to Savage Dragon, and one thing I love about Savage Dragon is that Eric Larson's drawing it, and his art looks somewhere between Howard Chaykin and Frank Miller at this point, and I love it because it's just a send up of the superhero genre and of superhero action, of panel progression, poses, superhero fights. Savage Dragon's got a lot going on to it, man. Plus it's sheer satire, and it's adult, it's ribald. I love it. So yeah, and I love this Eric Larson cover. I was gonna get the Kari Andrews one because it's all beautiful art, like in the inside, but so good. It's such a good book. Yep, and that's my pick of the week. My pick of the week is Spider-Man and Wolverine, issue number 2. And just because that's a really, really good book doesn't mean that comics are good again. Because by volume, I literally read 80 Marvel books this past month. 94 different floppies altogether. And very few of those Marvel, and just to take the 80 that made it from Marvel. I should have kept a better track of like the winners. There were probably maybe 12, maybe, that were okay. Were there 12? I bought 3 this week. The proof of the pudding for me is on the plate, and that's what I'm bringing home. So I'm still buying Ultimate Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk. I'm picking up Spider-Man Wolverine off the shelf. I'm trying to remember anything else. There was Hell Hunters rather. I'm liking Eddie Brock Carnage. I'm liking Benjamin Percy's Red Hulk series. Those J. Michael Straczynski one-shots, the Marvel team-ups, are pretty interesting. Those have been mostly good. Are comics better? It's a fair question, but it's an opinion as well, because then you get into speed circulation. Like, there is no transparency when it comes to sales numbers. We base things upon very small data sets with, the whole Comics Pro thing. It's 125 participating bookstores. Some of them are local comic book shops, but some of them, I wonder, are like card stores, like sports cards or Pokemon cards or Funko Stop kind of stores. They might have not very many comic books. but still lots of manga. You know, out of 8,000 possible things that qualify, a marketplace that qualifies as a local comic book shop or one of these stores, like these pop culture stores. And it's just such a and those were about point of sales origin if they opt into, you know, so that's where your top 10 list comes from, that top 20 list. The Comics Pro that used to get ICV2, internal communications version 2, which is pretty respectable too. But it gives you an idea, but it doesn't give you what paid circulation is. Not just units printed, not units shipped. Paid circulation. That's the number that you're looking for. And Wes has said that inside sources, he has them. It could be this one, it could be that one. But that's something like still the flagship of Marvel comic books, Amazing Spider-Man. That its paid circulation is it's less than 50,000 units. Comics, floppies, which is not good at all. And who's buying them? Am I reading the Energon universe? Thoughts on the new creative team for Transformers? Great question. Thank you for asking. I am reading everything with the exception of Void Rivals. I keep my finger on the pulse of Void Rivals, but it's it doesn't have any. I like Springer and I like Hot Rod. Sure. The Quintessence are in there too somewhere. Eventually, the Cobra Law people have to. Are they there yet? Out there? I don't know. I read that in the Energon universe one shot 2024. Numbers don't equal quality, right? So Marvel has all these different floppies out that are just miserably missed, like Phoenix, and I feel it's so anti-girl. This is an opinion too. I don't know what these things actually sell. Do they sell 10,000 copies, 20,000 copies? What are metrics of good? Who knows? I'm a hobbyist. I buy these things. I don't all I know is what's offered on the magazine rack of Marvel. And they're just doing what every other magazine publisher does. You aim certain periodical publications at certain audiences. Men have magazines, Playboy, Car and Driver, Baseball World, shit like that. Women have magazines, Teen Vogue, Cosmopolitan, Elle. Then you have more general purpose, general audience stuff. Rolling Stone, National Geographic, Reader's Digest. These are periodical publications sold at a marketplace, sold on a magazine rack. Distributed, in the print periodical publication industry. Totally forgot where I was going with that. I was going somewhere good. I'm getting hungry. What are you having for Sunday dinner tonight? I'm having buffalo wings. Also, hey, I'm going to wrap the show up with a movie recommendation. I'm going to start up Samurai Saturdays. It's an old tradition that goes back to the International Film Channel, IFC. And Saturdays, they would sometimes have Samurai Saturdays. It's a theme for movies, and I have so many samurai movies on physical media. Like I love samurai movies. I really do. Ninja movies too, but they're not to be conflated or confused. Coming to yesterday's Samurai Saturday, and I had my first Samurai Saturday in a while. It was great. I haven't watched The Sword of Doom in years. I bought it. I'm easy when it comes to. I love physical media. It looks like a video store out in my living room. I have multiple racks of physical media, Blu-rays, DVDs. I have an all regions 4K player that I keep in the box because, if you keep it plugged in, it's going to have a current running through it, and that would be entropy, so I only plug it in when I need to watch something like all regions, or that's also my 4K player. I usually use my PlayStation 4, which is a perfectly fine Blu-ray player. And I was watching yesterday Sword of Doom, 1966, Kenichi Okamoto's from Toho, 121 minutes, black and white movie. So it was made in 1966. So it was made in the era of color movies, of Technicolor, all these things. But when you shoot in black and white, it's a different lighting. It's different makeup. The makeup is so vastly different for to shoot with black and white. A lot of greens sometimes you got to use to get this to balance with the external light source. And so this is Okamoto's The Sword of Doom. It's a really interesting movie. So when you think samurai movies, of course we think Akira Kurosawa, and who is the master of Japanese filmmaking for his era. But he wasn't the only person at the Toho studios that were making samurai movies. You had a lot of different directors doing different samurai movies, and the same source of actors working for these studios. So who is in this movie? We got Toshiro Mifune, who is the Yojimbo, Sanjuro, the Seven Samurai of Throne of Blood. He is Kurosawa's muse when it comes to these samurai movies. And Tetsuya Nakadai. Now Nakadai is interesting. He is the bad guy opposite Toshiro Mifune in Yojimbo, and he is the sinister one with the revolver. So, and he's representing the coming age of the gun versus Mifune's Sanjuro, the bodyguard in Yojimbo. Yojimbo means the bodyguard, but it's the character's name is Sanjuro, and we find that out in the second movie as well, which is the same title there, Sanjuro. But so Nakadai plays Runosuke, who is he's a villain. And it's a juicy villain part that you can see that the actor is relishing and playing his complexities, his microaggressions, the looks on his face, the kind of the vacancy of his eyes in a way. It's like Robert Shaw was talking about in the 50-year-old Jaws, about the dead eyes of the shark, and they roll back as they bite into you, that kind of thing. And so Nakadai is playing a true sociopath, a true psychopath, who's got no remorse for life. He is a killer, but he's one of the best trained swordsmen. But it's just, he has chosen not the sword of life, but the sword of doom. and he is almost peerless in combat. But he is evil. He lacks empathy, remorse. And it's such an interesting movie. It really is. I mean, it's beautiful lighting, beautiful shots, the composition, texture, set designs, costumes, and so magnificent sword choreography. And like you can see its impact further down the line, especially for my mind's eye. I'm watching this and I'm getting hints of Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill Volume 1 against the Crazy 88s versus The Bride. And it was really the way it ends, burning a house instead of taking the sword fight at the end, the climax of the movie. It's so good. Have you ever heard of Sword 2? And I watched it with the audio commentary featuring film historian, which for me, this is why I get a Criterion movie. This is from the Criterion collection. They're a little bit pricier. This is going for $31.96 for the Blu-ray right now. It usually goes for $39.95. I remember getting mine Amazon on a sale several years ago. I think I paid $20 for it. Amazon, every time Amazon has some kind of Criterion sale, I get nailed with these offers, and I'm like, I need to pick this movie up. I have so many Criterion movies. Have I seen 3 Outlaw Samurai? I bought that sight unseen. I have it on my shelf, the Criterion version. I have yet to watch it, and I may watch it next Saturday for Samurai Saturday Cinema here at Sully's, and I'll talk about it next week too. Or maybe we'll make a date for that, Samuel. That's Samuel Trejo. Have I seen 3 Outlaw Samurai? I own it. I just haven't watched it yet. Like I said, these Criterion Blu-rays, if they're $25 or less, I pick them up because it's Criterion. Criterion have the best extras, the best supplementals, sometimes booklets, like in the amount of design that go into the packaging, the thoughtfulness. It is for the cinemaphile. And I am an amateur cinemaphile. I know that much. And coming at the end, it's like it's and related films here, like Kobayashi, Samurai Rebellion, or Ran, Criterion Ran. It's out of print. I have a Ran. I think it's Kino Lorber, is it? But it's like I'm lucky to have Ran because it is out of print. And I think it's a Studio Canal version because it's such a miss. Because everything else of my Kurosawa is all Criterion. Even Kagemusha. Kagemusha is a good. We'll do Kagemusha as well, and Throne of Blood. Throne of Blood, which is King Lear, done by Akira Kurosawa. It is Shakespeare, but set in Japan, in feudal Japan, with samurai instead of No, it's Macbeth. It's Macbeth. Sorry, no, King Lear is a different story. King Lear is Ran. That's true. So Kurosawa does it again with Ran. He does King Lear, the old king, the 3 daughters, the fool. The tragedy of King Lear. Well, yes, I watch Kung Fu movies on Saturdays because they had the 5:00 movies were usually dubbed from Hong Kong. When I was a kid too. Yeah, me too. Like on Saturdays, they had the Kung Fu Theater. So they had Creature Feature or Creature Double Feature. That started at noon. So there was the noon slot. And if it was Creature Double Feature, that would be like, noon to 3, and then sometimes there would be Kung Fu Theater. And like guy leaping in the air and step on some guy's chest, and he just spits out like some bright red, blood-like substance that doesn't get you an R rating. It's like the reason why the blood is so vibrant and not blood-looking is because so it can get shown on TV and not get like R ratings and stuff. Yeah. I heard this about Scorsese and Taxi Driver, that he was going to get an X rating and he needed to change something in his film to get an R rating. So what he did was, for the climax, he changed the saturation of the red of the blood and created it to be like a lot brighter and then looking like actual blood. And that was all it needed to get the precious R rating without the millstone of the rated X movie. No, it had to be R rated. And that's how he got Taxi Driver to be R rated. That's the legend. It's told by Quentin Tarantino. I watched that the other day. But thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, so we watched Sword of Doom yesterday. It's such a good movie. So if you take any random suggestions, this is worth your time. And especially if you have the Criterion channel and it's like a la carte, and if you can select the commentary tracks. I don't know how that works, but I don't watch streaming things much, and besides YouTube and the occasional Amazon Prime, I like physical media. I love Blu-rays and DVDs. I'm physical media. I love having a movie collection. I love movies. But thank you so much. I will have a nice minute. And good to see you, Dungeon Crawler Kevin. Thank you for coming by. And welcome. And good to see everyone out there in TV land. And thank you for spending some time talking about some comic books and a little bit of cinema. We're going back to doing Samurai Saturdays. So I'm glad to put in a little impromptu movie review as part of the Super Sully Sunday stream. Thank you so much. Hey, if you haven't subscribed already, think about hitting that subscribe button and joining the party. I'm also doing some different content lately. Welcome back to hockey. I love NHL hockey. I have a Boston-based hockey column I used to do on my blog. Well, now I'm doing it here on YouTube. Welcome back to the return of the Smoking Puck by Reverend Sully. So you'll be seeing the Smoking Puck hopefully on a weekly basis. And I've got more cooking videos. Look out for my soup tomorrow. The Salt in the Soup rides again. I got black-eyed pea and sweet Italian sausage soup tomorrow. It's going to be great, and you're going to love it. You're going to want a big old cup of that. So God bless, namaste, good luck, and see you all in the funny pages, all right? From Pikachu and I here at the Boston studios. Have a great week, and we will see you right here. Same Sully time, same Sully station. Tune in. Turn on those notifications. You'll never miss a show. We put out a lot of content. All right. Bye-bye.